Talking of dicks, Cummings.
He said he'd be out by the end of the year. He only lasted until the end of the day. The Prime Minister's top aide, Dominic Cummings, has packed up his things and gone. It came after days of chaos sparked by the resignation of his right-hand man, Cain. Now the government has lost two of its most powerful figures in as many days. So are things falling apart in Downing Street? Ministers were playing it down today.
He wrote in January that he was looking to leave at the end of the year, which is when Brexit and also the transition period will be over. And he had one or two other things that he wanted to get achieved. I'm not surprised that he feels that quite a lot of his work is done, but his ideas and energy, I'm sure, will be missed.
Before he entered Number 10, he was known as the man who won the Brexit referendum as head of the campaign group Vote Leave.
What are we doing?
Taking back control!
But more recently, the Prime Minister's top advisor became the top story when it was alleged that he broke the very lockdown rules he helped to create.
We drove for roughly half an hour and ended up on the outskirts of Barnard Castle town,
making him the subject of headlines and punchlines.
Is this the way to Barnard Castle? You see, my vision's a bit of a hassle.
Is it one rule for you, Mr. Cummings, and another rule for everybody else?
A self-styled anti-establishment figure, he's often been at odds with the media, the civil service and even the Tory party. It was always going to be tricky to have someone with little love for the Conservative Party installed here at the heart of a Conservative government. But whilst Dominic Cummings was the man who could win elections with his magic slogans, take back control, get Brexit done, he was tolerated by the Tory establishment. But after a major public backlash over his lockdown trip to Barnard Castle and a wider wave of criticism over the government's handling of the pandemic, that tolerance has now come to an end.
I think he has been a liability, and it's not, so far as I'm concerned, before time. But look, the real thing that matters is that we have a national situation, the most dangerous since the Second World War, the pandemic. And we also have the need to conclude our negotiations with the European Union. And frankly, the sooner that Mr. Cummings is out of the way and we get some heavyweights in to do a man's job, the better.
But love him or loathe him, most agree that he has shaped Boris Johnson's first year of government in his own image. So what can we expect now from the Prime Minister?
The reason why somebody like Dominic Cummings has had so much sway within the government is because Boris Johnson doesn't really know what he wants to do. Ultimately, the stuff that was said and written about me was a lot of it nonsense because my boss, Tony Blair, knew what he was doing. A lot of the stuff said about Cummings is not nonsense, is because he has filled a gap, if you like, or filled a vacuum that's created by Johnson. So in the end, this is an opportunity for him to show whether he's actually capable of doing the job.
One immediate challenge could be a wave of resignations as Vote Leave loyalists follow their leader out of Number 10.
I think a lot of people will be considering their position at the moment. There's a lot of personal loyalty to Dominic Cummings, but there's also perhaps an opportunity to change the culture of Downing Street, which so many people, so many MPs in my party feel isn't working.
Tonight, Downing Street has said that Dominic Cummings will continue to work until mid-December. But if these images tell us anything, it's that his influence is already over.
You see, we went into this last week on last week's show, where if you haven't seen it, well, I'll do that thing with the finger again so you can catch up with it. But I'll do a brief recap. It is there. You can't see it until we're on YouTube with a recorded version. The thing is, Dominic Cummings was no problem. He was safe in that job. He'd shrugged off the trip to the castle. Everything was good. But he never got on with Carrie Symonds, the fiancée and now mother of Boris's Sprog. And they've never got on. And he had a mate called Cain. And basically, things came unstuck for Cain and Unable because he was offered Lee Cain was offered the chief of staff job. And he said, yes, I'll take that, no problem. And Carrie Symonds went, no. That guy is here. I've put up with him. I'm not having his best mate running all of this. There'll be literally no escape from him. And he's a terrible influence on you. She packed her bags and she fucked off. And then all of a sudden there's this, the following day, Lee Cain not only didn't take the job, he resigned from Number 10 and left. And then it was said, oh, Dominic Cummings is about to go as well. And we announced it, Paul announced it live on last week's show. It had just broke. Yeah, before anyone. And what happened then was he was supposed to be leaving at Christmas. And then all of a sudden, he's gone. I'll tell you what happened. She came back and moved back in the flat at Number 10, Carrie Simmons. And then during the afternoon, there were a number of text messages, and one of Carrie Simmons's mates, who also works in Number 10, came to her and went, have you seen this text message that Dominic Cummings has been sending to people about you, in which you're referred to in not a very polite way? Now, I do not know the actual wording, but I do know that it was very nasty and caustic. And she went to Boris, and Boris sacked him. And that's why he left immediately. And you saw him then leave with his box of goodies. And I'll just point this out. There is a back entrance to Number 10. If you want to leave Number 10, you can leave Number 10.
Actually, 4 exits.
Yeah, but there's the one that everyone leaves from. It's the one near where the mortar attack happened with John Major as Prime Minister. And that's the one they all go to. And you can have your car at the end of the path waiting and you're off. Yeah, well, he didn't leave that way, did he? He left through the front door with his box like, hello, these are my things, I'm leaving. So who knows that bit? I think he did that just as a bit of a pressure thing so that it brought on board to everybody that Boris was alone now. So if you've got any problems, you can descend on him. And yeah, he is alone and he is not capable of doing that job, and he's just lost the only person who can win him an election and come up with any actual ideas. It's going to be interesting to see who you're going to now see who he is now.
But the Conservatives will get their party back.
They'll get the party back, but
dominated by Cummings, and the civil service hated him, and he wanted rid of the civil service.
But they wouldn't have won that election without Cummings. No. They wouldn't have won that election, and they wouldn't have certainly got his cabal. Remember, there's a massive swathe of the Conservative Party that are still very pissed off at leaving Europe, yeah?
Thank you for watching. I'm impressed. You've passed the IQ test and got this far, so let's press that button to do the last thing that helps us. It's got subscribe on it, you can't miss it, and please ring the bell for notifications of future videos.